And ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our final presentation of the day. Something very exciting. I'm actually looking forward to it myself. This comes from Ferrero, and the business challenge is actually about the next generation interactive toys that engage and delight children. And I suppose I'm young enough to be considered a child because I love the Kinder Surprise and Kinder Joy products. Our next speaker is Mr. King Chew. He's an innovation specialist from the Singapore Innovation Center of Ferrero. And King has 10 plus years of industry experience in technology innovation, product development, and project management. And at Ferrero, he is part of an international team, right, that's responsible for scouting emerging or disruptive technologies for new product development. All right, so the secret here is that Kane is working to develop the next generation of smart toys for the Kinder Surprise and Joy range, right? And his focus is on new functional materials and low power electronics. So as you all know, right, Ferrero is an Italian manufacturer of chocolate confectionery products and very, very world famous, right? So, you know, you can think of a Ferrero Rocher, for example. I'm making me hungry right now. So anyway, the challenge right now is about they're looking at how you can, you know, use technology, right, to enhance and create, you know, interactive toys. So I'm going to invite Keen right now to start his presentation. Welcome, Keen. Very good afternoon to you.
Hello.
And looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Billy. Can you hear me well enough?
Yes, I can see, and I can see your slides. Yeah, you're right now in the preview mode. You can actually launch your slides already. Yeah.
Okay. So
beautiful. Thank you very much.
The volume
Yeah.
is okay.
Yeah,
right.
It's great. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks. So without further ado, thanks for the introduction. I'll jump straight into today's presentation and also the OIP challenge itself. Just a very quick background. I think Ferrero is not a company that is unfamiliar with most of you if you have eaten our products. We have 4 very major brands: Kinder, Rocher, Nutella, and the last one that many people are not aware of, Tic Tac, is actually part of the Ferrero family. So these 4 are our most basic, the most organic brands that started, you know, many years ago. In fact, the company started in Elba, Italy in 1946 after the war. And our very first product was Nutella. And at that time, because of the economic situation, cocoa was in very short supply. And hence our founder came out with the idea to use hazelnut as a substitute, and it turns out to be very successful. And that's the story of Nutella and the rest of our products. So fast forward to today, we are slightly bigger now with 40,000 employees spread over 170 countries. In terms of the market share, we are number 3 worldwide in chocolate confectionery after Mondelez and Mars. So both are American and European brands as well. Okay, moving forward, I wanted to sort of also highlight what we define as product, because this will sort of pave the discussion towards what we are trying to achieve as well for toys, right? So using chocolate as an idea, Ferrero view product in a very different manner, in a sense that we see that the product is more than just the recipe, but it also needs to combine technology, packaging, quality, as well as innovation coming together to create a product that is not just visually attractive, but also very appealing to consumer. And that's why we spend a lot of efforts in R&D. And it's with that in mind that the Ferrero Innovation Center was set up in Singapore. It's the first dedicated R&D facility in the Asia Pacific region. It was set up very recently in 2017. That's our executive chairman, Giovanni Ferrero, is the 3rd generation owner of the company. So just for an additional info, our innovation center is located along Science Park Drive. So if any of you are in the vicinity, you might be able to pass by. Over at the innovation center, we do research in a few areas as listed on the right-hand side. The first area is in raw materials. We are constantly looking for new raw materials that could go into our new products, right? Not just cocoa, sugar, palm oil, but also new form of materials, raw materials that is indigenous to Asia. Secondly, we also look into product R&D, and product R&D probably is a bit is a bit wider in scope. So one of the product area would be new recipes, as mentioned earlier, and another area of product research is actually on the packaging itself. As we all know, Asia has a more tropical climate, and hence the chocolate do melt easily. So one of our team in Singapore looks into form of active packaging in order to keep the food fresher longer. We also have a team to look into consumer trend. This helps us to understand what's in vogue in the market today, what's the new kind of product that consumers are getting excited about. And at the same time, we do conduct focus groups as well as new product launch in a very low-key manner. So this like we do soft launches in order to test the market, how they react to new products in this part of the world. Last but not least, open innovation, where I'm from. Well, so as the word suggests, is we look into a further innovation that is that could be applied in many different disciplines, and as well as a much longer horizon. So that's in terms of 5 to 10 years, right? In terms of open innovation, we have 3 very big strategic goals, right? First one, we talk about breakthrough innovation. So those are innovation that is that does not exist today, right? And so we want to see what could be the next, well, as what they would say in the industry, what is the next big thing, right? In 5 to 10 years, so that's breakthrough innovation. Obviously, we partner a lot of, we partner multiple entities to do our research collaboration. So it could be academic institutions, institutes of higher learning, but we also work very closely with both established companies, big multinationals, as well as startups. Right? So we are open to work with all sectors in a sense. Last but not least, we also have a very unique mandate here in Singapore. On the on the right, new toy generation, and that's the team that I'm from, and that's really the focus for today's discussion. Right. So not many. Well, Billy mentioned before that he has purchased our Kinder Surprise, Kinder Joy before, but not many people know that we actually produce many of the chocolate eggs that you see in the supermarket. In fact, just last year alone, we produced or sold more than 3 billion of Kinder Joy, Kinder Surprise. So that actually make us, well, we like to say the #1 toy producer in terms of the units of toys sold worldwide, right? So in line with Mattel and Lego on the left. Because we have a huge market, we work very closely with companies, various companies around the world, like Disney, Universal, DreamWorks. So those are our partners in terms of licensing, and to come up with new and fun toys for children. Now, earlier Billy mentioned that we are looking into new materials. Yes, and that's correct. And part of the broader mandate here is what we are here to do is we are trying to create the next generation of smart toys that can help our children learn and grow. So I really want to emphasize this slide because this is the question that my team is asking ourselves every day, as we approach our work and as we approach the new technology. All right, here's a very simple use case. Imagine, okay, a child purchase route should be a parent purchase a single Kinder Joy for his or her child, and after opening the chocolate egg, he finds an interactive audio toy that is able to engage him for continuous play with new functionality. So that's sort of the use case that we are envisioning, right? Obviously, in the photo here is a Kinder Surprise. Whereas in Singapore, most of you could be more familiar with Kinder Joy, which is also a chocolate egg, but it's divided into 2 halves, chocolate and toy on each side. Okay. Our problem statement that is specific to the challenge this year is how can we incorporate new technologies or new material so as to generate audio sound electronically in the toy itself. So that's the problem statement, right? Pretty specific, but there's a reason for that, and I'll go into more details in the next few slides. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Now, here's some context, and the context applies to not just the OIP, but for all of our new toy generation, right? The functionalities, we want them to be able to embody what we call our core values, which is imagination, socializing, as well as learning. In terms of the criteria, our target age group is between 4 to 7, and whenever you look into new toys, we want the toy to be very intuitive, in the sense that once the child opens the egg and sees the toy, he or she would know how to play with it. Obviously, our product is called Kinder Surprise and Kinder Joy, so we hope that it does have that effect of giving he or she a surprise or joy. Now, size impression, what do I mean? As you know, the chocolate egg itself is very small, so that imposes constraint on the size of the toy. And we are constantly looking into different ways to increase the size of the toy, because that makes it easier for a young child to manipulate the toy. And this can be done by having multiple parts that the child can assemble. And last but not least, multi-layer play experience refers to the concept that the toy should have more than one functionality. So it shouldn't be just a figurine. The figurine itself could have a different play function. So it could be, and in this case, what we are looking for in this challenge would be, so maybe it's a toy animal figurine, but it's able to generate sound or produce a sound. Further context now, key consideration with regards to what we are looking for. These are just some examples. New materials. We are constantly looking into new materials, not just for this challenge, but in terms of the new toy creation and new toy concept. Could be cellulose and could be functional polymers, because all our toys are mainly made from plastics. New technology is very broad, right? I just listed piezoelectric and triboelectric because these are two areas that we are already looking into. Dimension, I've mentioned earlier, is always a concern because we need to fit it well inside the packaging. Now, cost is something that is also unique for us because we're Kinder Joy and Kinder Surprise, you will notice they are sold in a supermarket, right? They are not sold in a toy store because it is classified as a chocolate product. So that means that in terms of the pricing, we are very sensitive to what other chocolate manufacturers are selling their products. Now in Singapore, Kinder Joy is sold at around SGD $2, depending on where you are getting it from. So the selling price itself does impact our overall cost structure. Last but not least, safety. Safety is very important. It's of paramount importance to us, and I cannot stress that enough because we do subject all our toys design and prototype to very stringent checks as part of an international toy standard in the European Union called EN 71. Okay, now specifically, what are we looking for as part of the challenge? We hope to have a prototype solution that's able to generate audible sound in an indoor environment at a distance at around 60 cm. So that's probably the distance between the child and the floor where he's playing, or maybe from the table itself. Obviously, we require it to be functional, and so it needs to consume low current at a voltage of around 2 volt DC and not AC. It needs to fit inside our toy. So as a reference, right, the dinosaur is just given a reference, right? So this is sort of the typically the size of our toy in terms of the dimension. But obviously each year we have many different toys, up to 500 different toys a year. So our toys do come in all shapes and sizes. You just need to Google and you'll be able to find them. In terms of the so we need the solution to be scalable as well, because as mentioned, we do sell many eggs every year, 3 billion. So our production unit, our production our production batch is very large for each toy itself. So it's in the orders of millions. And so we need that scalability to be compatible with our selling price. Last but not least, again, I stress on the safety. In this case, the materials must be 100% safe. And when I mean 100% safe, I mean that it should be safe for the child, because even if the child would sometime put the toy in his or her mouth, it should be safe for that purpose as well. Okay, so I come to my last slide already. So we're offering $25,000 to help with the prototyping project. And but I also want to highlight that this is not just for us, it's not just a prototyping project, but rather we are looking for a co-developer or a vendor that can help us work together with us in order to commercialize the solution if it fits the criteria as mentioned earlier on. Okay. So with that, I've actually come to the end of the presentation, and yeah, happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Keen. A very interesting presentation, and we have questions for you. So I'd like to dive straight into the questions. This one comes from Ki Wei Liao, and Wei Liao says that he loves the Kinder Surprise and toys and grew up playing with them. So he also wanted to ask if there's a strict form factor and size limit for the toys and confectionery. So that's one. And secondly, is Ferrero keen to explore advanced packaging manufacturing techniques or concepts such as dual-use reusable packaging? Keen, take it away.
Okay, so I think to unpack that, two questions, right, in terms of the dimension, right? So the dimension is very much fixed by the fact that the packaging is of a certain dimension, and we do have a small capsule as you have seen earlier. So that's something that we need, is a constraint that we need to work around. In terms of the packaging solution, yes, as a company, as an innovation center, we are interested, but just not as part of this challenge. But you can easily find my email on LinkedIn, and you can message me separately if you would like to discuss more about the packaging solution. But for the context of the OIP this year, we are focusing on toys and specifically on audio toys. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Keen. I'd like to invite Kiwei to also send in your questions to the OIP forum on our website, www.openinnovation.sg. Just look for the challenge by Ferrero, and then you can actually input your questions into the forum, and we'll get Keen and his team to reply to you as soon as possible. Okay, next question, very interesting question from Anonymous, but basically is, would the power source need to be included in the overall cost consideration? Interesting question. Keen?
Yes, the overall power... So the overall power cost of or what we call the power budget needs to be considered in the overall pricing. But as part of the challenge, you do not need to look into the power solution, because that's a separate area that we are looking into. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So very good question.
Think of it as, sorry.
Yeah, please carry on, Kane. Sorry, my apologies. Yeah.
No problem. So as a follow-up, think of this as a jigsaw puzzle, right? So we are looking for the audio piece of the puzzle, and separately we are already working with our vendors to look into the power budget itself.
Okay, thank you, Keen. A very clear answer there. And a question from Rachel Yo, and she's saying, would Ferrero be able to share an estimation of the dimensions required? I think, Keen, they won't let you go without giving some sort of measurements, you know.
I wish I have the measurement at the top of my head, which I should, but I do have the comparison. So this is the size of our capsule. So the toy has to fit inside the capsule, right? If you do need the dimension, I'll be happy to write it down in the forum, right? There's a Q&A that I can input the answer. Yeah. So not to worry, the dimension is quite easily found online as well. Yeah.
Okay, I think yes, clearing the Q&A now. I think we have more or less answered all the questions so far from FERRERO. Unless anybody
Okay.
wants to submit a last minute question. If not, we can let Kin relax after this already. He doesn't have to answer any more of your tough questions. But basically, please feel free to post your questions on the OIP forum as well at our website, which is www.openinnovation.sg.